Hello everyone and welcome to Bayhill Studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make these super cute little square jingle bell blocks made with plastic canvas and yarn. This is an easy craft that just about anybody can do. It's a great way for beginners to learn some basic needlepoint stitches on plastic canvas, which is so beginner friendly, and just a fun little kind of modern but classic at the same time design. So let's get started. To begin, you're going to need a sheet of plastic canvas. So I've got kind of a light backdrop, so I'm going to hold this up so you can see. It's a plastic grid, and this is very flexible. You can use the really firm plastic canvas. It comes in different firmness. You can get like all the way to extra stiff canvas, or just this normal. This is just more the normal, and these usually run like 99 cents a sheet, maybe even a little less depending on the day in the store. And so you're going to need one sheet of that, and that will make actually several ornaments. And then you're going to need 6 colors of yarn. You can use less or you can use more. This is just what I chose. There's 6 sides, and I'm just almost out of the red, but I'm still going to finish that off. There's 6 sides to our ornament, and so I just like to alternate colors, 2 colors to each side, so each color gets used twice. So of course you could opt for like 12, up to 12 different colors if you wanted, or even less and do a really simple monochromatic, just simple ornament. I'm choosing 6 for this one. And then as an option, you can also add a jingle bell, and we will just pop the jingle bell right in that, in our cube, and it will make a nice little jingle bell sound when it's hanging. Or you could save it on the outside and like string it like this as a decoration. So the jingle bell is optional, but it's a fun option. All right, now to get us started, I am going to use 11 squares for each square of my ornament. 11 little squares on here, so I'm going to count 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I'm just going to cut right along that line. So within here are 11 squares. And I'm just going to cut all the way down, trying to cut as close as I can without cutting into this line, because I want all those little plastic nubs off as much as possible. Just carefully. And it cuts really easy with just regular household scissors. You don't need any special scissors for this. All right, I'm going to set this to the side. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I need 11 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I'm going to cut there. So I have my first square. Now the next square is going to have these plastic nubs, which I don't want. So I'm going to cut those off. And then I'm going to keep counting and cutting 11 squares, and then cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then I cut. Now you can make this any size you want. You can make these bigger, whatever you choose. Just make sure that all your squares are the same size. So I'm going to double check here, and I did make those the same size. Again, I'm going to cut off the nubs. And I'm going to keep going now and just speed this up so you don't have to watch me count and cut each of these. And I'm going to do this for a total of 6 squares. So as you can see off of that row, I was able to get 6 squares, plus there's a little extra for my next ornament. So, and one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is that you'll also need a needle, and you want to use a larger needle, like a yarn. These are yarn darners, and let me just show you. This one is going to be really too large. I think this is a number 18, if I am correct. on that. I do have kind of a mishmash of needles in here. This one will fit fine, but the ones that I have been using the most of are kind of in between, and just make sure that eye will fit all the way through. I think these are number 16, if I'm correct, needle, and they seem to work really good for plastic canvas. I did try the plastic needles that come with a lot of the plastic canvases, and the eyes were too big. They didn't fit through. And so I just use these number 16 yarn darning needles. So put that back for now. And the first thing that we're going to do is just cut, we'll start with this green. We will cut a length, let's see, about a yard. Cut about a yard. And actually I do need to get back out my needle. And then we're just going to thread that through. I just kind of pinch it. Goes through. You don't need to tie a knot at all. We're just going to start with one. And what we're doing is this really simple diagonal stitch. So the diagonal stitch, let's show this one. I'm going to start in the corner and come up and then down and then come up again here, always coming up on this side and then just going longer and longer till I reach the middle on this top layer. On the bottom layer, I'm going to do this over the whole square. So let's show you what that looks like. I'm going to come up right here, not through this corner piece, but the second one. I'm going to leave that corner alone, and that will get filled in later. And then I'm going to, with this finger, I'm going to hold about an inch of yarn down. And then as I go over and under, it will encase that, and that will be completely encased in the yarn, and it will be secure. So I came up through the second hole right there, and then through the other second hole, I'm just going to go down and pull it through. And then I'm going behind that yarn that my finger's holding, and I'm going to go to that next square, and then the next square on the other side. So there we have 2 rows, and then we just keep going just like that. And if you see on the other side, my yarn is on the inside, so it's already secure, and we just keep on going just like that. Continuing with the yarn outside of that tail. So one thing I love about using plastic canvas, especially for beginners, is you don't have to worry about tying knots, and changing colors is just that easy. It's just, you know, you would just secure your yarn, like I would just run my needle through there or something and secure it, but it would be on the back and it's secure. So a beginner doesn't have to worry about changing colors. It's not a big deal to change colors partway through. And this, because the holes are really a nice size and yarn is so easy to work with, you're doing basically all of the same embroidery stitches that you do with embroidery thread and fabric, but on this canvas. And so it's just a great learning template, a great way to practice. If you make a mistake, you can easily undo what you've done, and it's not a big deal. You're not ruining your project. So I find it to be just a great way for anyone who wants to learn embroidery stitches, just practice on plastic canvas. And you're not only practicing and learning a skill, but you're making projects that you can keep and use. They're very functional, usable projects. And I know that like my grandma used to make all kinds of projects with plastic canvas, and they were probably really pretty back in the day, but now I would consider them really dated. But anyone using them now, just make them, you know, perfect for today's aesthetic, for your home's aesthetic. You don't have to make them granny style if you don't want. If you like that look, if that's your aesthetic, then go for it. But if you like a more modern look, you can definitely make it modern and use designs and colors that fit whatever your aesthetic is. So I don't want you to think that you have to get pigeonholed into a certain look just because it was done that way back in the day. And because a lot of examples online are more old-fashioned, we might think that this is more of an old-fashioned craft, and it's really not. It's for everybody, whether you like the old-fashioned look and that's how you decorate and that's how you what you're going for, or if you want something more modern, or you could have something like really, some people like just really clean monochromatic beige tones. You could do anything. So there, I've just done that whole square, and that's how you do it. And on this end, I'm also leaving that last little corner open, just like I did there. And then to finish off this thread, and I've turned it to the back. So this is the front, and you can see my thread. I pushed it through the back, and to finish it off, I'm just running it right through, and then I'm going to trim. And you don't need any special, I'm using these are like kitchen scissors. You don't need any special sewing scissors for this either. So if you really don't sew and you just want to try a new craft, this is really minimalist as far as what you need to buy to start doing this. So then I'm going to keep doing this exact same thing. I'm going to do one of each color for each square. So my next square, I'll do one more for you. And then I'm going to speed it up so you don't have to watch all of them. But let's just do one more. So I've got this hot pink. Well, it's not really hot pink. It's like a purple pink. I really like it. So as you can see, this is definitely a more modern look that's happening here. And again, I'm just starting in this corner. And so I came up through that second opening and square and going down through the second. So I'm going to give you a close-up on that again. That's how we start it every time when we're doing this diagonal stitch. And then I'm holding down the yarn in the back, and my back stitch is just going right over it, so it's encasing that back yarn. I apologize, I'm trying not to move this canvas and keep it steady so you can see nice and close, and it's hard for me to watch what I'm doing and keep it steady for some reason. So again, just going back and forth, I'm doing the same number on each side. So I'm just finding its equivalent. So I did number 2 and number 2, number 3, number 3, and just keep going that way all along. If I accidentally skip one, all right, I'll show you what I can do. So I accidentally skipped one. This is so easy. I pull my yarn kind of tight so I can have a big opening, and then I go back through, and that just undid my stitch. That's how easy it is. If you make a mistake, you can just pull that yarn so that you have an opening and then undo it. And if you happen to do several stitches before you catch it, you can usually still do that. If not, just undo the whole thing. It's not a big deal to undo it all, and you're not ruining any fabric underneath or anything like that. So it's so forgiving. I can't stress that enough. And you can see how fast this is too. In addition to be forgiving, it's very fast. I can sit and just watch a movie and whip out several of these while I'm watching a movie. I think the part that takes the longest for me is choosing my colors that I'm going to use. I just take forever on that. Okay, so I did make a mistake. This was not intentional, but I just went through the same hole. So again, I'm going to pull it and then push it right back through the same hole, and it just came right out. So I'm going to the correct opening there and going down the other side. I really apologize. I didn't intend for... I am making mistakes. I love this. Okay. This is good demonstration. I am trying to hold steady and talk and do everything at the same time, and it's not as easy as it looks. So again, this keeps going on the back, and if you haven't noticed, I'm just kind of pulling it back on the front. I'll point it out if I do it again. Yeah, so when I pull, it's going to the back, so just pop it over the front, just like that. The yarn just wants to do that. There we go. And we're almost done with this side. I'm cutting it close with my little tail of yarn here. We'll see if we make it. Again, if we don't, not a big deal. Just start some more yarn. Oh, I think we're going to make it just barely. And the reason why I say just barely is because I also have to have enough. You have to have enough to be able to bend your needle, but we are here. So I'm just going to slide this right through the back and trim it. Take out, there we go. There we go. So there's two, and I'm just going to keep on going now, and I'll speed this up. Okay, I'm going to slow this down real quick to show you how I can start if I were starting a new color or I ran out of yarn here. So I'm starting again, and I want to show you how easy this is midway to change colors or just add more yarn. So this is my back, and all I'm going to do is string my, run my yarn through the back and then start. So it's really that easy. Let's see. I am going to start right there. Now I'm looking at it, and this one looks really loose to me, and that's where I ended last time. So I'm just going to kind of pull that a little bit tighter. All right, that looks good. So that was really easy to fix. And then another thing that you could do if you want to, let me finish this off, and I'm going to show you if you want to secure it even more tightly so you don't ever get that loose bit. Let me just show you. And I messed up. Awesome. Okay. Finish this up. Last one. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over to the back, and I want to secure my yarn. So I'm going to run it through the same way I showed you before. But then to make it extra secure, you can just like skip a yarn or two and run it back the other direction. And then you could even do the same thing once again and just kind of weave it. Now that is not going anywhere. It's a little messier, but you're not going to know that on the front. So if you really want to give it some extra security, you could do that. So there's another square finished, and I'll keep going. The base layer of our squares is now done, and I did 3 in the pink red range and 3 in the green range, and you can do whatever colors you want. These 2 I did in that this is like brighter neons in the pink and green, and this is more, it's still bright, but more, a little more traditional pink and green and red. And then I've got my neutral colors here. So you can do whichever you want. You will notice that on mine, I like to, when I do the top layer, which we're about to do, I like to stick with the tones, the reds and the pinks together and the greens together, but you can totally mix it up however you want. But just take a look. This is how I like to do it. And again, you can mix it up however you want. So as I am planning this, what I do is I line up my squares, and then I match the yarn that I want to go with it. So I think I'll do this purplish pink with this like a, I don't know what that is, like a coral color. And I think I'll do this green on this like greenish teal color. The red, let's do here. Let's do that. And the reason why I chose what I chose is I do want contrast so that you can see that second layer on top. And so what we're going to do is just get started. I've already got the red threaded, so let's do that. And what we want to do is we're going to go make the same diagonal lines, but this way. And we're only going to go halfway. And so I am just going to run my yarn underneath, and then I'm going to just get started on one corner, and we're doing the exact same thing, except we're just going to go halfway. And this is fun. This creates like a little bit of texture and a little bit of puffiness to it. Let's see where, hold on. Okay, so I noticed that. Let me redo this because I don't like that that's not underneath. That got pulled up somehow. So I'm going to pull up this first, and let's start again. So run that under. I'm going to use my finger to hold it there this time. I wasn't holding it in place. And then we are just going to, our stitches again are going to encase it so that a few stitches in it will be secure. I think it's probably secure right now. Yeah, I just gave it a tug and it's good. So you can just go like that with your needle. Instead of going down, all the way down and all the way up, you can just kind of bend the plastic and have your needle go through two holes at once, which is just a tiny bit of a time saver, not much. And almost there. Okay, so that's that, and then I'm just going to run my thread, my yarn underneath, trim that off, and we've got that square done. And I'm going to speed this up now, and we're just going to go through and take care of all these. Okay, we've got all 6 squares finished, and one last thing that I wanted to point out about when you're doing the squares is you don't have to start here when you're doing the halfway, the second layer. You could start here and work your way to the corner. There's no rule on that. So now we are going to make the little loop to hang our ornament. So I've got a little piece of this red left over, and I'm just going to thread it into my needle, and I really have to pinch that thread to get it in there. And then once you do it a few times, you get used to it. And then I want to have it close to my red, so I'm going to do it here. So these 2 first loops in the corner we're going to use to make our loop. So I'm just going to go in and hold the back with my finger, and then I'm going to go down through the second loop. So up through the corner loop, down through the second, or vice versa, doesn't matter. And then I'm taking my needle off. I'm unthreading my needle. So what I want to do here is I just want to tie a little knot. So I'm taking the loop and just bringing it through the hole that I formed. And there you can see I've got a little knot on this outside. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tie a knot on the inside, and I'm just going to do the square knot. So right over left, and then left over right. And I'm going to do that twice, just so it's really secure, because once I've got this all stitched up, I don't really want to go back in and open anything up to fix it. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim, but it's not too close. I don't want it to come undone, and yarn can be slippery sometimes. So I left just a little bit, and that's my loop. And I didn't measure, but let's see. Measures about 2 inches. You can make it however long you want, however short you want. That's our loop. Now we are going to start stitching these together. So again, I want to use the red thread on the outside, and you can use whatever color you want. This one I did white, and it makes a nice little contrast there. I really like that. So you can do whatever you want. Let's see, where did I put my needle? There it is. Kind of disappeared. And let's get that back threaded. And there we go. I'll show you how we start this. So I do like to kind of alternate colors. So I'm just going to start with this one. I want to get this boxed in and get these corners done first before I do other things. Like, that's kind of on my mind as I'm going. Other than that, I don't really have any rules. So I'm going to start by just running my thread through, my yarn through. It's just burying it under those yarns on the back. And then I'm going to go up through the corner. And then on this one, I'm going to go down through the corner. And I like to go back. You could go now up through the next hole, just like that. But I like to really secure these corners. And so I am going to hold that thread that I've got, this loose thread, or yarn, I keep saying thread, and go back up through that first hole, just to secure it a little better. That's just how I like to do it. And the other reason why I like to do it is because now I'm going to go up to the second hole on the green, and that's going to give me a diagonal line, which I like. You can do this honestly however you want. There is no rule, but you'll just figure out. So you can see that created a diagonal where or I could have gone again down here and then gone diagonal up through the back, and that would have created horizontal stitches. Let's see if I have any, because I know I've been a little inconsistent probably. No, no, those are all diagonal. So anyhow, I'm going to keep going. So now I'm going to just go in the next square on the green and next one on the red. And we just keep on going like this. Okay, and just make sure that your edges are lined up, because you can accidentally get it not lined up, just, you know, a little wonky, and that can just affect how you're seeing what you're doing. You might not get an accurate picture of what you're doing, and I like to really see what I'm doing here. And then we're just going to keep going around. And you can kind of create an L shape like that and then go through both at the same time, like that. That's not a problem. And this will just go really fast. Literally, you could just pop in a TV show and have one of these made, several of these made. If you're watching a good movie, just whip these up. These make a great gift, especially for little ones. They cannot break these. So these are great for putting on your tree when you have littles at home. Okay, so now my next one, I am going to, let's do this one. And I am choosing, and you can do it however you want, but I've got this coral color here, so I'm going to make this kind of not right next to it. And you could make it right next to it, but I am choosing to kind of create some variety there. And so now you can see I'm going to, this is where you kind of have to hold carefully. I'm going through the first hole on this pink one, and then I'm going to go back up through the first hole on the red tile square, whatever you want to call it. And got it all messed up here, but that's okay. Get that pulled through. Okay. So there we go. And now I'm going to line these up. And once I get a couple of holes done, it's so much easier. But line them up and just start going. Just make sure I got that. Yes. Got that straight. And we'll just keep on going now. And see, now that once I get those first two little rows done, it's easy because the squares will hold themselves in place. It's those first two that it's really loose and it wants to kind of flop all over. So you've got to carefully hold those. And if you've got someone younger that's not very coordinated, that's where you might need to assist in putting this together. They might need a helper. Other than that, this is super simple. Now, I'm not going to speed this up. I am going to talk you through this because there is a method, kind of a method to this. So before I get this too closed up, I want to tackle this other part above the loop. And, well, never mind. You don't really have to. So I'm going to take that back. So you don't really have to. Just thought about that. That's just my own little way of doing it. So let's see. We're going to do a green right here. I like how that looks. So just kind of hold it up to there. See how it looks. And then I've gone through the first hole. And I'm going back through the first hole on the red one. And then this first one keeps wanting to just flop all over and get tangled. So you've just got to really be aware of that. And then the second row. So there's our second row. And we just keep going. And once we've got all of the sides done except for one, we can add that jingle bell if you want to add a jingle bell. I think it's a fun addition. And I didn't add it on my others, but we're we're going to add it on this one together. All right, so we just keep on. And you could vary the color on your border yarn if you want. You don't have to do all red or all the same color. You can vary that. Okay, I'm going to start one more and then I will speed it up for you until we get to that last opening where we need to actually close it up and add the jingle bell. So let's see. I am going to do, I think I'll do another green. Let's see how that looks. Do green there. I've got red on that side, that's fine. And let's go like that. So, do it right here. Okay, I'm going through that first hole. Pull that yarn tight. First hole on the green, first hole on the red. Pull that through. And this is where you want to make sure you don't actually accidentally stitch in the loop and get that enclosed in there. And then second hole and second hole. And then I'll speed this up a little bit for you. Okay, so I'm at a point where I can just continue stitching by folding it together like this, creating the box. So again, you're just going to line up those first holes and I'm going to do it one more time. And then I could go on the back and go up to the second, and that would create the diagonal on the back, but I don't want that because I have diagonals along all these sides. So I am just going to now go up to the second hole on this side. So it's kind of a reverse, a little bit of a reverse of how I was doing it before, but same thing really, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So finish this side up. And then once we finish this side up, we'll add that last little tile. And we're almost there. I hope you can see how totally easy this is. It's so fun. It's honestly pretty addictive. Okay, what did I just do? There we go. Okay, we're on our last one. And we're going to add the pink. So now I just want to see how that's going to look. I think I want to do it like that. So you can kind of choose which side you want to go along. I think I'm going to go this way and go through that first hole on both. And I apologize if the clarity, if it goes in and out of fuzziness. I'm trying to keep it steady. And then I'm going to go through those first holes again. So do that one more time. And then I'm going to go up to the second hole like that. Okay, so now I'm going to box in this flap. Again, I'm just going to go right here. First hole. And go through one more time. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, so I'm at a corner where it's finished. All of the other sides are done. So I am going to go through this again. And then I'm going to send my needle through one more time. And you'll see it inside here. Just make sure I got... Okay. And then I'm just going to, it doesn't matter that it's, you know, at that corner. I'm just going to bring it up into the first corner here. Fold that flap down. Go back through the first hole like I've been doing. And start with the second row, and then I'm going to finish this row. Okay, so now you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 little sides left. So now I've got to decide where I'm going to go. Oh no! Okay guys, look. I stitched that on wrong. So the problem is this is all attached. So I'm actually going to have to go back and undo this. So I'm going to speed that up for you, but I'm going to show you how I figure that out as I go. Okay, so I'm back to being kind of boxed in, and what I did was I unpicked, and when I started again I made sure to that one corner that I had to unpick, I really reinforced that a couple times, and now I am going to decide, and I think I'm just going to go right up to this corner, and I've brought my yarn onto the inside, and I'm just going to start here. First hole again, going through twice, and then we're going to do this second one, and that will take me up here and around. I'm trying to be a little strategic so that I don't have to, so it's as seamless as possible, but it really doesn't matter. If you're doing this and you have to keep pulling it through the center and then starting on another one, that's fine. It's gonna be whatever it is. Unless you can really see ahead a plan to make it as seamless as possible, that's great, but no one will notice if you don't. So it will always look, it will look the same no matter what, no matter how this comes together. In whatever order the squares happen, that's fine. So I'm at the corner, and I am going to just, and there's no real rule to this, but I'm just bringing it one more time in that existing corner that I was just doing, and then I'm going to bring this over to the new corner. Went through once, I'm going to bring it through again, and then I am going to go up to that second row and continue on. Really quickly. This is going really fast. even when I had to unpick, it's 5 or 10 extra minutes, like not a big deal. And I didn't have to unpick the whole thing, which was great. Okay, so I've got just this much left, and so I'm going to put in our little jingle bell. I'm just going to pop it in there. And I'm going to reinforce this corner by going through both ends again. And then I'm going to, I think I'll start on this corner. So I'm going through the first hole of both sides twice. And then I'm going to go up to the second row. We'll finish this row. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row, and I'm just going to go through that end again. And then I think I'm going to bring the yarn over the top and then get that needle down to this last row. So just work it there. We got it through that first hole. And then I'm going to take it through again. And then we'll finish this off. Here we go. Okay, it's finished, and I'm just going to kind of reinforce just a little bit, go back. And then what I want to do is I want to just run my yarn on the inside along the edge. So I'm going in, and then you can kind of feel it catch on the inside in that yarn, and that will be really snug and tight. And then I'm just going to snip it close so that you can't even see. And there we have it. So you could be done here. This could be all you want to do, and that's great. I think it's adorable. And if you want to add the pom-pom like I did here, then hang on for the next step. To make the pom-pom, all you need are all of your fabric scraps. Not fabric scraps, I'm sorry, I'm used to quilting. All of your yarn scraps. I have a lot of scraps left from this, so I save them. And a fork. So, and let me grab this yarn scrap too. So, all we do is we are going to wind these scraps around the fork. So I'm just going to kind of go in the middle and leave a tail, and then I'm going to start winding this. And then if we want these to kind of, and don't pull it too tight. You don't want it overly tight. You can if you want, but that will just make a smaller, tighter pom-pom. And partway through, I could add another color, and that kind of integrates them. So otherwise, you'll end up with rows like this. If you just do one color at a time, you can kind of see where it changes from color to color. And if you want them more blended, then just go ahead and add as you go. This is so easy. You're just winding around a fork. Could not be easier. And it doesn't, don't worry when you get to the ends, those are all good. And we just keep on going. Let's see, I'm going to add this green. And some more of the red. Teal. I've got a tiny bit of this coral left. We'll add that. I've got a tiny bit of this purplish pink. Okay, so I've got this kind of blob, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another, you know what, I'm going to add this green. I'm going to take another scrap. So I have this teal scrap that's about, let's see, it looks like it's about 7 inches. And I'm going to put it into the fork tine in the center tine right there and pull it through and then pull it back around. So you can see it's over the back. And then I'm going to tie a really tight knot, like multiple times. So I'm doing a square knot, right over left, left over right. This is what I learned in Girl Scouts. So that's what I do. And then I'm going to do that again. And then let's see, I do want, let's see, I'll use this. I do want something longer, so I'm going to tie it again with a longer piece of yarn. Now, if I had started with a longer piece of yarn, I wouldn't have to do this, but I just realized I actually do want a longer piece. And I have made these multiple times and I always forget to do this. So same thing, just going around, and this doesn't hurt at all to do 2 knots for sure. Okay, so I'm pulling it tight again. And you'll see in a second why I want a longer piece. Okay. Do it one more time. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it off with a fork. And I've got to make sure I keep that longer piece. I'm going to be trimming these, and so I'm always going to have my hands on this longer piece. I don't want to trim that. I need that. So here's what it looks like. And then I'm going to take my scissors, get all this yarn out of the way, and through the loops I'm just going to start slowly, carefully cutting again so I don't cut through any of this or my long piece. And I'm going to get my sharper sewing scissors for this. Snip right through. The more yarn that you wrap around the fork, and I'm just right now looking for loops, any little loops I might have missed. The more yarn that you wrap around the fork, the tighter your pom-pom is going to be. So now I'm going this way. Again, I've got to be very careful. I don't want to cut through my string that's holding it all together. And got some loops right there. At the very center, close to that string, you're going to have some loops. You're going to find those as you go. So get those. And then on this side, some more loops. Okay, so now the fun part, we're going to give it a haircut. So that does not look like a good pom-pom. So we're going to cut it really down nice and close and tight. And so I'm just going to get these out of the way, get my fork out of the way, and I'm just going to start trimming to get a circle. Alright, so it's starting to look a little better. And then after I do this, I'll show you a variation on this. If you like something a little more loose. This can be like when I was a little girl and gave my dolls haircuts, and I just had to keep going and going because it was always crooked. So it can kind of feel that way as you're going. So don't stress too much. Don't stress too much if it's a little uneven, because you don't want to cut overly close. Okay. I'm going to call that good. Look at all this. It looks like confetti. Everything that's left looks like a little pile of confetti. I love that. All right, I'm gonna get that out of the way. And then we're going to get this back. And now I need my needle again. And we're going to thread one of these through. And I'm going to thread it right by my loop. You could put the pom-pom anywhere you want. You could put it like on this opposite corner. That could be kind of fun. I'm just going to put it right by my loop. And then I'm going to tie a few knots. So and when you're tying the knots, just be careful not to get your hanging loop in there. I'm just going to do this square knot twice. And then you just trim this, or because when you trim it close, you may risk undoing the knot. Another option is to rethread your yarn and take it back down along that side and out the other end. Let's see if it'll come out. It's so tight in there that sometimes it wants to struggle. Okay, it doesn't want to come out, so let's pull that back out and try coming out here. There we go. Just take your time and figure out what works. And I'm cutting this one really close because I want that yarn to go back in there. And then I'm going to do the other side. And I'm just going to make that go down in the first hole. And then I can just kind of feel it against the plastic, which helps me know that it's going underneath the yarn, kind of sandwiching itself underneath there. And this one did come through, so that's great. So again, I'm just going to snip that really close. And that's it. Cute little jingle bell. All done. So the second option for a pom-pom, if you like it looser and fluffy like this, is the exact same technique, except I wrapped it around 3 fingers. So I took the yarn and I just wrapped it like this, and I didn't use as much yarn. So what that does is it just creates a bigger pom-pom, and then I didn't cut it super close. I kept it long and shaggy. So I'm calling this a shaggy pom-pom. And that's just a different look for it. I like both of them a lot. And this one's even tighter. So I could cut this one down even more, and I might, because it's looking semi-shaggy already. Let's see. But those are your 2 options. It's a little addictive trimming the pom-poms. It is like cutting your Barbie's hair when you're little. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I really hope it gets you excited about working with plastic canvas. I think it's such a great craft for beginners, for anyone who wants to do some embroidery and you might not have the confidence to get into the really fancy embroidery yet. And this is just a good gateway craft to introduce you to hand stitching. and the various stitches that you can do, and I love that you end up with just fun projects that can be used right away. I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for stopping by. I hope you'll take a minute to like and subscribe, and most of all, I wish you a very blessed day. Bye-bye.